AM 1450, FM 99.3, KNSI. Welcome to VoigtJohnson Real Estate, taking you home. You can hear this program every Thursday morning at 7:23, Saturday morning at 12, Saturday afternoon at 12:53. And again, don't forget to start that home search at VoigtJohnson.com. Heidi Voigt in studio with us, and first of all, great to see you again.
Yes, you too.
So we're going to put this all in a nutshell, less than 7 minutes. What happened this past year?
Well, it's interesting because I get that question. Well, not necessarily that question. I guess one of the questions I get a lot are you still busy? And I think that the answer to that is, we're always busy. It's just a matter of what we're doing. But when you step back a little bit and you kind of go, okay, well, what did really happen in the last year? And doing a little research on that and looking at that, the amount of sales that happened in 2023 was the lowest it had been since 1995. So in 28 years, that's pretty low relative to what we had been doing. But then another stat that was just unveiled by the National Association of Realtors is that pending contracts in May of this year, which is usually our big month, it's kind of a pillar month within the industry. The pending contracts were the lowest since 2001.
Really?
So what's shaping up to be would be that the 2024 numbers will probably not dip below 2023, but they're going to be, a little bit parallel, maybe a touch above.
Yeah. I love talking about stats because the first thing I want to do is find the same thing that just happened over the past year or so and look back to where else that happened to kind of predict where we're going.
Exactly. And so it's just a matter of what will happen in 2025 and what do these stats equate, right? So 2024 is a similar market. If that's our flat line, then we have nowhere to essentially go up. But what does the going up look like? Because we're still in a scenario where the values are really good for people. So that hasn't, we've seen a little bit of a dip in certain price points, but so the values haven't pivoted. So what's going to change within our market is going to be, are people willing to maybe buy something smaller and take on the interest rates, right? That's a thing. And that would be having people on the sidelines kind of watching the market right now saying, okay, well, my cousin got this house and she has the same job as me and now I can't buy that house because the interest rates are there. Just that digesting of what the actual market will allow me to purchase. I do think that from a pricing perspective, there's been a very, very nice correction and a little bit more balance within our market. But if we're in a projection where more things are going to happen in 2025, is that change going to be prices are the same, interest rates are about the same, it's just more people are accepting of this scenario and they're just going to keep on moving with their lives.
How about finding more qualified buyers, right? Particularly in that middle value range. I would think that people are going to get their stuff together a lot more before they head out into the marketplace.
Well, I think there's a need for that because whenever you're dealing with interest rates, credit is evaluated a little bit more closely, and the credit issues maybe become less relevant when you're dealing with an interest rate and a lower payment. But when people are going up in those values, the payments are going up, and so that analysis that are going to be done by lenders is going to be a little bit more invasive, and we've seen that already.
I really like what you said because to me it really indicates that the market is a living, breathing thing.
It does. It changes. Yes. Yeah.
It takes care of itself. Folks, all you have to do is watch things. Listen, learn, save your money, be ready.
Yeah. So, and I think that people are getting ready. I think that there are people who are only going to want to pay somebody else's mortgage for so long.
Right.
And then there's life changes that happen, and we'll talk about that in our next get together too. About what are those life changes and what does that look like in the scope of the entire market and how that impacts when people are selling and buying. But the overall stats that we have seen in Minnesota locally that are still really, really good news is that since 2020, our house values have gone up almost 30%.
Right.
Okay, there's some negatives that come with that, especially for, purposes of insuring and purposes of property taxes, but overall wealth building with that equity is incredible. That's an incredible thing. I mean, I think that the average person in 2024 that owns a house has about $400,000 more wealth than a person that's renting.
Think of what Heidi just said. Renters, think about that.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Let's get in the game. Let's start accumulating wealth. Let's start getting ready for the next stage of your life, because you know what? It's going to be here, Heidi, before we know it.
What's happening today,
Absolutely.
one step at a time, right?
Absolutely.
So I think, in summary of that, what we're really seeing this year is that we've got a lot of happy sellers still.
Right.
A segment of younger buyers, and when I say younger buyers, average home buying age right now went to 35 years old. Last year it was 36.
Okay.
So that's, not a super young person, but those people are going to have some frustrations with the process, but all the more reason to hire a professional and help you navigate through that.
I was going to mention, I was going to ask you if you had a tip for these young, frustrated buyers. Like for me, it would just be talk to your folks, take a breath, settle down. Your time is coming.
For sure, and that time might not be in 3 weeks, but it could certainly be in 3 months, and having those conversations in advance. We talk a lot about meeting with sellers in advance and saying, okay, this is what you do to get ready.
Right.
Doing that with a buyer and saying, these are the things that you need to be completely prepared for, and then talking about them, about things that are better about buying in the fall versus the spring, and the opportunities in the spring versus the fall. Being prepared for that and knowing what that looks like. So again, that interviewing process and that sitting down with buyers before they even jump into a house can certainly happen.
VoigtJohnson, folks. VoigtJohnson Real Estate. How do we work with you?
You can give us a call at 320-774-2400 or visit our website at VoigtJohnson.com. We've got a great gallery of agents there for you.
And remember, start that home search, as we said, VoigtJohnson.com. Heidi, thank you.
You bet.